Be kind to yourself while you learn. Learning something new is hard. Whether you're studying a language, picking up a new skill, or trying to change a habit, the process is full of mistakes and moments of frustration. And somewhere along the way, many of us develop a harsh inner voice. A voice that criticizes every error, that gets impatient with our pace, that tells us we should be doing better. We would never speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves when we're struggling to learn. But for some reason, we think being hard on ourselves will make us improve faster. Today, I want to talk about why that's not true, and why being kind to yourself while you learn is not just nicer, it's actually more effective. Self-compassion isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Think about the last time you made a mistake while learning. Maybe you were speaking English and you forgot a word, or you used the wrong grammar, or you pronounced something incorrectly. What did you think in that moment? If you're like most people, you probably thought something unkind. Maybe you thought, that was stupid. Or, why can't I remember this? Or, I'm never going to get this right. These thoughts feel automatic. They feel like they're just part of learning. But they're not. They're a choice, even if we don't realize it, and they have consequences. When you criticize yourself harshly, your brain goes into stress mode. You feel tension in your body. Your heart might beat faster. You might feel heat in your face or tightness in your chest. And when you're stressed, you don't learn as well. Your brain is busy dealing with the emotional pain of feeling bad about yourself. It doesn't have as much capacity left for actually processing and remembering information. So, ironically, being hard on yourself actually slows down your learning. It makes the very thing you're trying to accomplish more difficult. Let me tell you about a student I once taught. Her name was Lisa. Lisa was studying English because she wanted to work for an international company. She was smart and motivated. She studied every day. She did all her homework. But she had one big problem. She was incredibly hard on herself. Every time she made a mistake in class, she would apologize multiple times. She would say things like, "I'm so sorry. That was so stupid of me." Or, "I should know this by now. I'm wasting everyone's time." She kept a notebook where she wrote down every mistake she made, and she would review it before class, reminding herself of all the things she'd gotten wrong. I noticed that this approach wasn't helping her. In fact, she seemed to be getting more anxious over time, not less. She would freeze up when I called on her because she was so afraid of making a mistake. And when she did make mistakes, which everyone does, she would become so upset that she couldn't focus for the rest of the class. Her learning was being blocked by her own self-criticism. So one day, I asked to speak with her after class. I told her I'd noticed how hard she was being on herself, and I asked her a question. If your best friend was learning English and she made the same mistakes you make, what would you say to her? Lisa thought about it for a moment. Then she said, I would tell her it's okay, that mistakes are normal, that she's doing great and she should be proud of how much she's learned. I nodded. That's beautiful. I said, so why don't you say those things to yourself? She looked at me, surprised. The idea hadn't occurred to her. She had one set of standards for other people, kind and understanding standards, and a completely different set for herself, harsh and unforgiving ones. And she genuinely didn't realize how unfair she was being to herself. I gave Lisa a challenge. For 2 weeks, I asked her to talk to herself the way she would talk to a friend. When she made a mistake, instead of criticizing herself, she should acknowledge it neutrally and move on. Instead of, "That was stupid," she could think, "Okay, I'll remember that for next time." Instead of, "I should know this by now," she could think, "I'm still learning, and that's okay." It felt strange to her at first. She said it felt like she was letting herself off the hook, like she wasn't taking her learning seriously. But I encouraged her to try it anyway. The change was remarkable. Within those 2 weeks, Lisa was more relaxed in class. She participated more. And because she wasn't spending energy beating herself up after every mistake, she actually remembered corrections better. Her learning accelerated, not because she was working harder, but because she removed the obstacle of her own harsh self-judgment. She was finally giving herself permission to be a learner, which means being imperfect, which means making mistakes. This is something I wish more people understood. Being kind to yourself isn't about lowering your standards or accepting mediocrity. It's about recognizing that you're human, and humans learn through trial and error. When a baby is learning to walk, she falls down hundreds of times. But she doesn't think, "I'm so bad at this. I'm such a failure." She just gets up and tries again. She's patient with herself because she doesn't have that critical voice yet. She hasn't learned to judge herself. And because of that, she learns quickly and joyfully. But as adults, we've learned to judge ourselves constantly. We've internalized voices from our past, from teachers or parents or society, telling us we should be perfect, we should get things right the first time, we should be farther along than we are. And these voices become our own thoughts. We carry them with us everywhere, and they make learning harder and more painful than it needs to be. So what does it mean to be kind to yourself while you learn? It means several things. First, it means accepting that mistakes are not failures. They're information. When you make a mistake, it's your brain's way of showing you what you need to practice more. It's actually useful. A student who never makes mistakes in class is either not being challenged enough or not taking risks. Mistakes mean you're trying things that are at the edge of your ability. That's where growth happens. Second, being kind to yourself means recognizing effort, not just results. Our culture is obsessed with outcomes. We praise people who win, who achieve, who succeed. But we don't always acknowledge the effort that goes into learning. If you showed up today and studied, even if you didn't understand everything, that's worth recognizing. If you tried to speak even though you were nervous, that's courage. If you kept going even though it was hard, that's strength. These things matter. They matter more than whether you got everything perfect. Third, being kind to yourself means talking to yourself like someone you love. This might sound simple, but it's powerful. Pay attention to your inner voice. What does it say when you struggle? Would you say those things to a child? To a friend? If not, then don't say them to yourself. You deserve the same kindness you would offer to others. You can be honest with yourself about areas where you need to improve without being cruel about it. There's a difference between "I need to practice this more" and "I'm terrible at this." One is constructive, one is destructive. Fourth, being kind to yourself means taking breaks and respecting your limits. Learning requires energy and focus. You can't push yourself relentlessly without rest and expect to perform well. Your brain needs time to process information. Your body needs time to recover. If you're tired or overwhelmed, it's okay to stop for a while. It's okay to say, "I've done enough for today." Rest is part of the learning process, not a distraction from it. I remember when I was learning to speak Spanish, I had a teacher who was wonderful at creating a kind learning environment. On the first day of class, she told us something I never forgot. She said, "In this room, we will make thousands of mistakes together, and every single mistake is a gift, because it shows us what we need to learn. So, when you make a mistake, don't apologize. Just notice it, learn from it, and keep going." That simple statement changed the whole atmosphere of the class. People weren't afraid to speak. They weren't embarrassed when they got things wrong. And because of that, everyone learned faster. But you don't need a teacher to give you permission to be kind to yourself. You can give yourself that permission right now. You can decide that from this moment on, you're going to be your own supportive coach instead of your own harsh critic. When you notice yourself thinking something mean about your abilities, pause, take a breath, and choose a kinder thought. Not a fake thought, not a thought that ignores reality, but a thought that's both honest and compassionate. For example, if you think, "I'm so bad at English," you can replace it with, "I'm still learning English, and I've already come so far." If you think, "I'll never be able to speak fluently," you can replace it with, "Fluency takes time, and I'm making progress every day." If you think, "Everyone else is better than me," you can replace it with, "Everyone has their own pace, and I'm exactly where I need to be right now." These aren't just positive affirmations. They're realistic perspectives that acknowledge both the challenge and your capability. There's also something important to understand about the relationship between self-kindness and motivation. Some people worry that if they're too kind to themselves, they'll become lazy or complacent. They think they need to be hard on themselves to stay motivated. But research actually shows the opposite. People who practice self-compassion are more motivated, not less. Why? Because they're not afraid of failure. When you know you'll treat yourself kindly even if you mess up, you're more willing to take risks and try difficult things. You're not paralyzed by the fear of your own judgment. Think about it this way. Imagine you have two coaches. The first coach yells at you every time you make a mistake. He tells you you're not good enough, you're not trying hard enough, you're disappointing him. The second coach notices when you make mistakes, but he says, "It's okay. Let's figure out what went wrong and how to do it better next time. You're doing great, and I believe in you." Which coach would make you want to keep trying? Which coach would make you feel more confident? The answer is obvious. So, why would you be the first kind of coach to yourself? Being kind to yourself doesn't mean you don't care about improvement. It means you create the conditions where improvement is actually possible. It means you treat yourself with the respect and patience that all learners deserve. It means you remember that you're on a journey, and journeys take time. You don't arrive at your destination by hating yourself for not being there yet. You arrive by taking one step at a time and being gentle with yourself along the way. I want you to try something this week. Every day, when you practice or study, pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Notice the tone of your inner voice. Is it kind? Is it patient? Is it encouraging? Or is it harsh, impatient, and critical? When you catch yourself being harsh, don't judge yourself for that either. Just notice it and consciously choose a kinder thought. It will feel awkward at first. It might even feel silly, but keep doing it. Over time, it will become more natural. And you might be surprised by how much it changes your experience of learning. You're doing something brave by learning. You're stepping outside your comfort zone. You're being willing to be a beginner at something, which means being vulnerable and imperfect. That takes courage. And that courage deserves to be met with kindness, not criticism. You deserve to be proud of yourself for trying, regardless of how quickly you progress or how many mistakes you make along the way. Learning is not a race. It's not a test you pass or fail. It's a process of becoming. And in that process, you will stumble. You will forget things. You will feel frustrated. You will have days when nothing seems to work. That's all normal. That's all part of it. The question is not whether those moments will happen. The question is how you'll treat yourself when they do. Will you pile on more pain with self-criticism? Or will you offer yourself the same compassion you would offer to anyone else who's trying their best? I hope you'll choose compassion. I hope you'll be kind to yourself while you learn. Not because it's the easy path, but because it's the path that actually works. Because when you're kind to yourself, you create space for growth. You create safety for taking risks. You create the emotional conditions that make learning not just possible, but joyful. And isn't that what we all want? To learn and grow without making ourselves miserable in the process? You are worthy of kindness. You are worthy of patience. You are worthy of encouragement and support, especially from yourself. So give yourself those gifts. Be the kind voice in your own head. Be the friend who believes in you even when things are hard. Be gentle with yourself while you learn, and watch how much farther you can go when you're not fighting against yourself every step of the way. You've got this. And you deserve to be kind to yourself while you do.